There we go. And we're recording.
Here we go. Any comments or requests to make any changes to the agenda, or is it okay to proceed as presented?
We might want to touch base on the future of WORT.
I think that's that's on the new business down at the bottom.
Great, thanks.
Okay, then adopt the agenda as submitted. Have people had a chance to review the minutes? There weren't any action items. It's pretty much just who's here and
Yeah.
Okay. So
And when it ended.
yes.
Yep.
So without objection, the minutes can stand as submitted. Aware of no communications from the public. I don't have much to say. Just I have one request, or a favor. Yeah, asking a favor. Is it? We've got the doubleheader birthday bash coming up on December 1st at the Burr Oak, which and you can buy your combo tickets online. Would there be any objection by anyone if I made a welcoming comment at the beginning of the event?
Well, that's a great idea.
I really like that idea.
Okay, thank you. And just a brief welcome.
And even if you're there for the
Oh,
for
no,
both,
I'll do both.
the
I'll
beginning of
absolutely do
both. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to find something to occupy me on the east side for a couple hours in between. I'm sure I can think of something. I'll think of something. Okay, we have no.
I would consider you talent at that point, and I will put you on the comp list.
No.
Okay, you can buy tickets if you want, but I welcome you doing the welcome announcement because I usually get stuck doing it, and I would be so grateful if you would do that.
Okay. If my date can come, we can put my date on the comp list. How's that?
Yeah,
There you
you
go.
just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
just let me know the name.
Okay. Okay, then with that, executive committee did not meet. The most important thing we got to do tonight is the budget. So let us get right to that.
Can I just ask,
Yes.
just for procedure,
Yes.
is the goal to pass it tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Can't be discussed and then passed in December. And I'm just asking.
Yeah.
not
Doug,
insisting.
can you address that?
Yeah,
Any-
that is the plan. Because with the approval tonight, it means we can go forward with renewing the health insurance for the station and dental, as well as completing the annual report, including the budget for community shares that Susan needs to submit.
Okay, that's fine. It just helps my brain process this, knowing what we need to do tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, Doug, and the finance committee for your work. Doug, anything you want to? Now, I had a question or two, which I asked and Doug answered. Does anybody have any questions of Doug or Laura, anyone else on the finance committee? Or Doug, do you want to make any kind of presentation or comments about it?
Sure. I mean, there are a few things to note in the budget. Obviously, there isn't a breakdown on the planning summary of the projects that we have planned for facilities upgrades. A couple of the things that are in the budget now are carpeting for the lobby and hallway, as well as painting. The back deck has already been repaired. The Sybil's office is going to get insulation because the biggest problem with the heat leaving the room is that she has bare concrete walls next to her, and it just provides absolutely no insulation whatsoever. We've also been looking at low-cost products that would help heat the space efficiently and at low cost. So we're looking at that as well. So that problem should be handled with not a huge expense, which is nice. There's also a number of larger projects that are not in the budget because those would fall under capital expenditures and would need a depreciation scale because they're so large scale, such as the windows in the roof.
So
So do we not pass a capital budget? How does that work?
Basically, Tom put a list together of until we have a plan for how we're going to fund those things, they're not in the operational budget.
Okay, and so when you have that plan, you'll bring it to the board for our review and.
Right, exactly, because there is a certain amount of funds already
Sure,
that are restricted funds with the express purpose of doing larger facilities projects. And the windows, for instance, are going to fall under that because it's already within the range of the amount that we have
right,
through several donors.
sure.
So I think that's going to be handled on a different scale and not part of the operational day-to-day budget.
Yeah, it's fine. Again, just
yeah,
asking the
so
process.
this does have a few of the smaller projects. Another thing to note is long-term staff did take a cut to our bonuses at the end of the year for our longevity bonuses. So we capped it at 3% this year. So our newer staff collective members will get their regular bonus that they would have gotten. But those of us who were longer term have cut back from 5% to 3%. Just as one balancing measure, because we all felt with the recent pay increase, it was something that we could do because we were right down at the end and then discovered a couple of more expenses. There is $2,500 in for the Jeff Burkhart second half payment for the staff board retreat. The first half would be covered under this fiscal year, according to the schedule that he put forward. So that is taken into account. Also, the $2,000 increase in the budget to put the audit number where it should be, based on what we've been paying for the audit recently.
Okay.
So these numbers have been adjusted. The final numbers are in for health insurance quotes, the CPB grant. One thing to note on the CPB grant is what we put in is the hard numbers that we received from CPB this year. So, if our income increases the way we are projecting it to, that number will actually be higher in the amount that we actually receive in 2025. So there's a little bit of a buffer in there of maybe even a few $1,000s. The employee costs, total personnel costs are at, I believe, a little under 65%, which is a very healthy level for a nonprofit. It shows that we're putting a lot of money into actually running the place and not just paying people to run the place. So that also looks good to donors.
Phil,
That's
I'll
about all I have for any sort of presentation off the top of my head.
Okay, Doug, I want to roll back a second and get to that. Reduce the longevity pay,
Bonus.
the longevity bonus.
Yes.
Isn't that set forth in the contract?
It is, and if we approve it budget-wise, we'll probably have to do a MOA on that.
Okay, not.
But all staff is unanimous in our acceptance of it. So
Okay. I mean, have you mentioned this to your union representative?
we haven't as of yet.
Okay,
That
because I don't want to
far
be
as I
doing
know.
anything to violate the contract. But I mean, we appreciate the gesture, but I want to make sure that we're not violating the contract.
No, I mean, we've done these types of measures in the past. In fact, we've done actually a lot more drastic ones, such as giving up pay raises and
Okay.
giving up any sort of year-end bonus whatsoever. And each time it has been done through a memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement, MOA.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we can draft as a union. I mean,
Okay.
draft it and send it over for your signature because basically the staff has already signed off on it.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. I've got some other questions, but Phil's had his hand up. Phil,
Yeah, there was something in the engineering report, no, finance report about not recording a meeting because of concern over storage space. And I'm just wondering if there was anything in the budget to address this need for storage space or backup or any other type of solution.
Data storage is under programs and subscriptions. Does that cover that?
Data storage is under, it's under the engineering budget. It has its own,
an increase in it.
Yeah, there's an increase and
it
there's a
has
line.
its own account number on the planning summary.
Yeah,
Is that the 5182
yeah.
for $2,200?
Yes, I
Look
just don't know if that is particularly devoted to that type of storage for video or if that is for audio archive purposes.
I don't think that there's an immediate need for more storage. It depends how long we're going to keep these recordings. But if we just do it on a monthly rotation and then upload them to our own storage, it's the storage that we have on Zoom itself that's at issue. I don't know that that's really a limiting factor. That might be a red herring. I don't think that that's really an issue, but we can check with Tom on that.
Okay, I just have noticed that it's come up in the minutes of a couple meetings, and
Yeah, I
I
don't
just
see
thought
it
it
at-
worth asking about.
I don't see it in this month's report. So,
It was in the finance committee meeting from August,
oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to, unless we're discussing items that are for some reason confidential. But yeah, do you want me to make a point to record these meetings?
Talking about the finance meetings, Laura?
Yeah,
I think that can be discussed later.
Yeah,
Right now it's budget.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think it takes a change to our budget to record the meetings, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doug, I'm gonna,
Yeah, I mean, there was one more thing to note, and that is that although the board got the planning summary, which is the document that matches our QuickBook accounts in the reports that you'll receive month by month, the finance committee looked over a much more detailed budget, which had breakdowns by department. And that was looked over by the entire finance committee, as well as Mary Joy, our bookkeeper, who checked the numbers against QuickBooks to make sure that they were on track with current numbers. So I'm just not sure everyone was aware the actual process that went through to develop and approve the budget by the finance committee. So I wanted to make that clear as well.
Thanks, Doug. Are those breakouts available to those of us who aren't on the finance committee?
Sure, I can make those available. It's just they usually are not requested by board members
Yeah, it would
because
just
they
be
tend to be
helpful for me to
confusing, but they're not
under-
like secret or anything like that. I mean,
They're not what?
they're not secret.
Right, I wouldn't have thought so. And again, I know we're trying to pass the budget today, and I don't see anything glaring that's gonna make me object to it, but it would make me a more knowing fiduciary voting on the budget if I saw those breakouts. So whether it's for the future or afterwards, I don't think I'm gonna see anything that's gonna say, oh my God, how did we pass this budget? But it will help me feel more knowledgeable.
I think part of the reason is that, you know, we're trying to minimize the amount of time that it takes, because I think there were actually 12 different spreadsheets to look at, and some of them were quite lengthy. So that was part of it, that we wanted to give you the summary and the highlights
I
at the board meeting.
totally am appreciative of seeing the summary and the highlights. And I'm not saying every board member needs to read every one of those breakouts. That's why we have a finance committee. But at least for me, it would be helpful to have them available.
Certainly.
They could either be linked or, you know, just put in the board meeting documents, so that those of us who want to see them, are able to see them.
Or
Yeah.
maybe by request, some a note like that.
Yeah, and I guess I honestly wasn't sure because I'm not 100% confident on my still a year and a half later of being on the board of navigating the drive for everything that's there. So I could have and perhaps should have asked before today's meeting to see them. I didn't, so.
Sure. And what I can do, Jeff, is I emailed the individual PDFs to the finance committee
Okay,
in advance of our budget meeting. So I can go back and look at that last email and just forward that to you and any other board members who are interested.
yeah, sounds good.
Tanya too.
Phil as well.
Either that, or I
I'd
could just send
appreciate
it
it.
to board at. I could
Why
send it
don't
to
you do
board
that?
at.
Yeah,
But
and that way,
I do have the caveat that there is one tab, the personnel expenses, that although the full-time salaries are posted online, some of the details of benefits and the part-time salaries are not public information.
right,
Sure.
So yeah, just please don't share those.
Oh,
Those
no.
are considered confidential, but I mean,
Sure.
the board has a right to know what we're paying.
Sure.
So yeah,
That sounds good, Doug. Just send it to the whole board and that way anybody who wants it can have it.
yeah, I mean, would it help out if I just went and dug for them now? I mean, or I could do it right after the meeting too.
I'm gonna leave it to Stuart, depending on how much time you want us, you know, like, obviously, if you send them now, we're probably gonna look at them. That's gonna take some time. You're chairing the meeting. I don't wanna hijack the meeting for this, but if you think we all ought to look at them, then, you know, then we should do it now.
Well, what is the pleasure of the body? I mean, if people think this is necessary to have an informed vote on the
Yeah.
budget.
Just remember that the finance committee went through these documents in detail a week ago, so that there has been that review also. I understand your concern though, Jeff.
Yeah, and again,
rest.
it's really, for me, it's not about second guessing, folks. I know a lot of both staff and finance committee spent a lot more time than we're gonna spend on it, and I do have faith that you did it well. It's more for my own knowledge so that I don't feel like I'm just blindly going along.
Dan?
Doug, I've got the email and the 14 attachments open now. If we,
Is
Feel
that
like
the
doing-
last one I sent though?
I'm seeing November 6th at 2:48 PM.
What is the text of the email?
The text of the email is, "Hi, everyone. After careful deliberation, the staff is ready to propose this 2025 annual budget. The PDF docs are numbered with the general summary first, income and expenses."
That's not the correct one.
Ah, okay.
I sent two subsequent emails after that because there were two rounds of adjustments that needed to be made.
Oh,
And
I
the
see
The
revised.
last one included, oh God, what were the last two things? We adjusted for constant contact, the allocation of constant contact payments.
And the
other
audit
one,
cost, the audit cost.
the audit
Yeah.
cost. Those were
And I'm
the
seeing
two
something for
things
column
in the
heads
last
as well.
revision. And the planning summary for that one should total out to a net income of $1.
And that's the first.
Because the first one came out to $1. Then there was one that sent out that came out to $5. But then there was a third one, and that third one is the correct one when the last two adjustments were made.
In the planning summary. Okay. This one's got a
In
net
all the
income of
documents.
5.
Because it affected several documents, because we had to adjust the admin page, we had to adjust the business development page.
The heading for the one I'm looking at now says, here are the revised PDFs of the budget. Column heads should be correct now.
I think that's it.
You know, I think it may be more efficient if people have questions about things that are in the budget to ask them as opposed to starting to look.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
It's a lot of information. It took us an hour and a half. to
Trusted
go
the finance
through the-
committee's right.
I think I saw that there was a that Phil put something in the chat, which my eyes were not quick enough to see. Was there something?
There
Somebody
is
call that
something.
up? Okay.
It says, I
But-
trust finance committee on
Okay.
review, but also agree with JS and R's concerns about fiduciary duties.
Yeah. Oh. Like I said, if people have specific questions about what's in front of us, I think that
All right, so I'm just gonna ask a couple questions about things that look like pretty large jumps that may be answered in the breakdown, and you can just tell me what it is and maybe not be. One, and this doesn't say that there's a breakdown, there's just at least percentage wise and by about $4,000, an increase in printing. Do we know what that's about?
Remember the
percentage-
question being raised, but I don't remember the
The
answer.
printing expense, you mean?
Yeah, percentage wise, it's like a 40% increase in our printing.
Yep.
From 9,300 to 13,335. I'm also a little bit curious because they both numbers end in 335, so you know, it seems like there was a $4,000 jump for perhaps something specific, but I don't know what.
There may be a particular mailing that Susan has planned for donors in our 50th year.
Oh, that was it. That is because of the 50th anniversary. I
Okay.
recall now.
Okay,
Specifically, it was raised for that reason.
all right. It would be probably in, you know, once the 50th anniversary gets going, keeping a running budget of what we're actually spending on that, because I assume we'll be trying to raise money specific to that too. And then the equipment purchase line, 5590, although afterwards it says 5265 in parentheses, so I'm not sure what that means, is more than double. And it says breakout on engineering. It's a nearly $20,000 increase. As I said, more than double than this year's expense.
I'm sorry,
So-
again, which tab was that? Or which
Equipment
line?
purchase,
Oh, equipment
5590.
purchase.
Yes,
So the 5265, I believe, is the code they use within the accounting document.
No,
Like
the
for
5265 is the discrete accounting code that we assign to that for unrestricted use of CPB funds. So
Okay.
it's not the actual account code, it's a subcode that we use specifically to track CPB spending.
got it.
All right.
So
That
what
makes
what
sense.
is the
And you'll
counting?
see that 5263 is used for satellite interconnect and program acquisition, because that's how we get the BBC and other programming.
Sure.
But
But
what is the purchase that's double? Why are we doubling?
Yeah, let me go into the document because I can call up the engineering tab. Let me pull it up here. I was actually looking for the email and I didn't get that far. But I do have the entire budget right here. So let me go to the engineering tab.
I've
'Cause
got it
equipment
open.
purchases, so equipment purchases 34 or 59,240. Is that what you have?
590.
5590 is the line. The dollar amount is
there is
36,235.
There's $15,000 in there this year because we have got to replace the PCs that no longer support Windows 10.
Windows 11. They need to support Windows 11.
Or Windows 11, I'm sorry. They're running Windows 10. But they are too old to run Windows 11. So there's $15,000 in that in So here's the improvement costs. Now, these are things that aren't annual. Every single year we have to pay this stuff.
Right.
These are the specific projects, which include RDS solution, replace the production server, a satellite dish cover is not, oh wait, that's not in there. Wait, replace the production servers in there. Some of these have zeros. Because they're put in a wish list. Replacement PCs, the touchscreen monitor in combo B, which is going to be like $1,000, because the carts in combo B just do not work, and I'm sure Jeff can attest to that.
Yeah.
And then a Henry Engineering USB Matchbox 2. Maybe Laura knows what that is.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
11.
for people to plug their laptops in and put them into the board.
Oh, right,
It's
right.
we have kind of wonky kludged systems for doing that, and this is a unit that works perfectly for that.
Yeah, and we're finding so many more of our hosts are running from laptops, especially with the younger DJs. Not to be ageist.
Even some of the older ones.
Right. No, you're totally right. Yeah, I mean it's across the board, really. RE20 microphone replacements. So there's 2,000 to replace microphones. Guest gizmos in each combo.
Those are the buttons that are currently in the middle studio, but not in the combos. Tom wants to put those, like their cough buttons, things like that. He wants to put those in for each microphone, each guest mic.
Yeah, and it also allows for tabletop adjustment of their headphone volume, which is
Correct.
also really helpful. And then replacement of the Meraki firewalls, which is a $3,000 tab. So there's
That's
quite
a security issue, of course.
Yeah, so there's a lot of engineering expenses there. There's also 200 in equipment purchase for facilities, which is to buy tools. But then some of the other projects in facilities, just to run down that list, are, I'm going to say it, and I hope I say it for the last time ever, tuck pointing the chimney. Yes, it's in there. The back deck and ramp maintenance of 500.
Tom was working on that today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tom has
hold
actually
on.
replaced several of the boards already, but we predict that some more might be needed to be replaced next year.
Can I stop you, Doug? I appreciate all that info, but I think we've now moved past my question, which was just about the one line. And
No, this all falls under equipment purchase. This is where all of that money is going to.
tuck pointing is equipment purchase?
It is. Because it doesn't fall under anything else.
It's not under facilities, building maintenance?
It is, but building maintenance is broken down.
Okay. Let me just say one last thing.
Because some building maintenance is acquisition of service, like snow removal, and some of it is buying actual stuff. And like even bricks and mortar are considered equipment. I know it doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
It's
so
the same. Okay.
let me just say this as a final thing on this issue, as a question, and I don't know whether our auditors will weigh in or whatever, but it would seem to me that the big jump up is from the computers. I assume we need them. No, not going to debate that. Isn't that a capital expense as opposed to an annual budget expense? That is a huge single expense. We expect computers, I know they don't last forever, but it'll last at least 5 years. So it is a piece of equipment. It's not like buying pens and pencils. And it just, I know, Stuart, you said, and I hope your skepticism is merely that you're concerned about whether we can raise as much money as this budget indicates. And if we have, assuming for the moment that we have the capital funds to purchase the computers, why wouldn't we do it that way instead of shoving a huge annual expense into a large equipment purchase?
What would be the functional difference?
Well, completely different decision tree. You look at your,
Yeah, as a functional matter, if the decision is we need to buy these computers, what does it matter which budget we call?
well, two things. One, I suspect, and I'm not a budgeting and accounting expert, that there is a correct accounting way to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing
What is
that
the
it's
accounting
on
practice?
the capital side, not on the annual budget side. But I'm not an expert. It can be asked of our accountants or Mary Joy or whomever is more of an expert. Two, it's a completely different way of thinking. And I don't know if Susan's on, I don't think she is, of fundraising. Okay, how we raise for capital expenses is completely different than how we raise for our annual budget. We rely, for example, on our pledge drives, a huge percentage for our annual budget. We do not rely on them, at least in general, with exceptions. We try to, over years,
Right,
raise money for
emergency.
soundboards or whatever. We try to get, and we did, and that's why we're getting Windows finally, some big single donors that aren't pledge related. And those go straight into capital. They don't affect our annual budget. So that's why I think it makes a difference.
Yeah. Which
Dollars are dollars. That's true, Stuart. And to the entire financial picture of WRT, correct. It doesn't make a difference.
I mean, if we had bonding authority, I would understand why.
We
I
don't.
mean, theoretically, you're right. But buying something that's going to last for 5-8 years, arguably could be a capital expense. But as a functional, practical matter, I don't see it having a significant impact. Laura, you want to help us out on it?
Yeah, I think of this, and this is just my own vocabulary for it. I mean, as long-range planning. There are things that are, that we can anticipate we're going to need to replace. There are also projects, like every 20 years or so, the roof is going to have to be replaced. And computers about every 5 years or so is probably a good number. I think that this is a different, the capital equipment budget, if you want to call it that. We really don't have a way, at least in my short time on the finance committee, I don't see that we have a way for dealing with these items. And so I can see that we can, instead of trying to cram them into an annual budget, that we can start looking at our budgets in more of a long-term approach, like what do we need in the next 5 years? And you're right, Susan wants to know about these because then she can find different ways to fundraise for them. She said that on a number of occasions. So this is something that after we pass this budget that I intend to push. We've discussed it a little bit at the last financial committee meeting, finance committee meeting. And I think that once we get the new budget out of the way, that we'll discuss it more. But we apparently don't have a protocol in place for dealing with these types of items.
I don't think the fact that it's in the operational budget as opposed to the capital budget would prevent Susan from going out and seeking a donor focused on this. I mean, you can see she can still go out and.
Of course not. Of course.
So.
I just want to see it more organized. Because it kind of, I want to see it more organized.
Okay.
These kind of budget items are dealt with differently by the different departments. And I'd like to see it all in one place so that we can look at some of these, these are big ticket items. These are really impressive numbers. And I think we should have a better handle on it.
I don't have any further questions. I appreciate the discussion.
Yeah, thank you. I want to go down to the income section because that's, and there's some numbers that jump out to me. And Doug, I want to, we had a brief email. I want to exchange, but I just want to know, so everyone else can participate in this discussion. There are some big jumps in underwriting from big jumps in underwriting and big jump in car donations and big jump in bequests. And how confident are you and Susan about making your numbers?
I can't speak for Susan, but I know she has a long history of making her numbers. So if she puts them out there, we both agree we have a lot of work to do in the coming year. I feel confident that I can hit my numbers. Events I don't think will be a problem at all. They're actually broken out in my detail tab, which everyone will see later. So the biggest jump there is in not only our 50th birthday party, but also the large event at Atwood Music Hall, because of the gracious donation of Mike O'Connor. Topher Christensen that owns Atwood Music Hall is already contacting the bands. We've put a budget together, and that has the potential to make a huge amount of money for us. It's going to be billed as a Clyde Stubblefield tribute as a benefit to WORT. It's a Friday night in June. That one stands to make an awful lot of money. On the underwriting side, I got a really nice email from Justin Kibble at FPC Live, who assured me that the relationship will continue. They are back, will be underwriting with us in 25, as well as I already got a contract from Overture Center, which is also back. So I heard from Sally Braun, and they're doing underwriting with us again. I have a few other people who are inquiring, but the biggest thing is going to be launching the web tiles on our app, and offering those to businesses who can't afford traditional on-air advertising or underwriting, I should say. So I have a lot of projects that I've already begun working on to achieve a higher total on underwriting. It's been really hard these past few years because businesses have really been struggling. But I just have to keep hitting them. Part of that is I appreciate any leads that any board members have. Please send them my way. I'm happy to reach out and contact businesses who you feel are sympathetic to our cause.
Okay. Just a general question. What are general contributions as opposed to all the other income?
General contributions are those random contributions that we normally get on the website between pledge drives that don't really categorized anywhere else.
That much? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. People listening online. A lot of those are nationwide or even overseas. Yeah, it's interesting how many different places we actually get donations from. I think we're at 49 states now.
Wow, nice.
Wow.
I think it's just one of the Dakotas that we haven't hit yet.
Yeah.
They don't have radio in
Yeah.
Dakota.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments?
I would just say on the income side, it looks like we're gonna have to have a very successful 50th anniversary. And when I say successful, I mean financially,
Yep.
in order to make this budget. And I think that's possible. And I think we need to lean in heavy on it, including, by the way, I think from an underwriting angle, Doug. I think there are
absolutely.
businesses who would, love to say congrats on your 50th,
Yeah. And we have dropped the idea of a book, so we're not going to have, that advertising.
Okay.
And
Right, and I
frankly,
plan to funnel all of that toward the app and even the website. Honestly, the website has a lot more traffic and is very marketable right now.
which was prepared first, the expenses or the income sheet?
They both kind of grew together.
Okay. So I would think you would, just to be safe, you would start with the income and see how much money you thought you could have before you decided what you were going to spend.
Yeah,
As opposed
actually,
to
Susan and I
deciding
did put out our numbers first.
Say again?
But my original numbers did not include the Atwood Music Hall,
Okay,
because that wasn't a done deal yet, and we didn't know what was going to become of that. Because you have to remember, we started this budget all the way back at the end of August, beginning of September.
Right.
We've been working on this for months. And that's kind of the way it goes every year. And actually, Susan and I both got to a point where we're like, no, we're topped out. We can't raise any more. And
Okay.
then it was Susan that proposed the bonus cap, which got us some money. And then we realized that we've actually been spending less on our telephone and internet than we have been projecting. And the reason for that is so many people are doing their shows using Google Meet to reach out to people at long distances, so that our long distance bill has come down so much because nobody's making long distance phone calls anymore.
good.
Yeah, so there's been odd savings here and there. Our interest income, because of moving our funds into the high interest yield savings account, we've like quadrupled our interest income in 1 year.
No, I'm thinking that, assuming we pass this momentarily, that sometime around a week or so from now, when we get closer to December 1st, we might want to put out some kind of press release. WORT enters its 50th anniversary year with its first $1 million budget. That's a nice little hook for.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that
absolutely.
up.
And
I'm sorry, Laura.
and that's going to be the bait on the hook when I go after these businesses to be part of our 50th year.
Yeah.
Especially targeting lapsed underwriters. I have a list already compiled with, I'm ready to go.
So I'll work with Barry. I'll work with Doug and probably Shali and Susan and put something together, because that might be just a nice little hook.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? Any other finance committee members want to say anything about anything? Hearing none, it is this is the recommendation from the finance committee. Is that right, Laura?
Yes, it is.
Then it stands before us without need for a motion. So if there's no further discussion or debate, going once, anybody else have anything they want to ask or comment on? Okay, well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Laura and Doug and everyone on the finance committee for your hard work, and onward to let's raise it and spend it.
Yep.
Thank
That's
you,
the next
Doug.
challenge.
Yeah, Julia.
Oh, she's clapping.
Oh, clapping. Okay.
I'll just-
Why don't we at this point, why don't we jump down right now to discuss the matter of the how we're going to organize the board staff retreat, since that's somewhat implicated by the budget. And I think that's the next most important thing on our agenda tonight. We should do it while it's still fresh. Doug, you want to bring us up to date on the conversation about whether or not does Jeff do both? Do we have somebody do the staff who's experienced in collective coordination, and your thoughts on that and staff's thoughts on that?
Sure. Some staff felt that they wanted someone specifically geared toward collective management to do the portion on how the staff collective better manages itself. And that's namely the session that's just the staff collective in how do we come to a system of management that both the board and staff can agree are effective and fair and productive. I mean, I personally think it's kind of late in the game to shop around. I think we're at the point where Jeff wants to begin the process. So it's a difficult thing. I know there was a list of a few names that they wanted to reach out to. And I don't know. I just kind of feel stuck because I don't know what to do about it.
How, how would you describe the level of commitment among the staff to we need someone who's expert in collectives to do that phase part?
It's, well, I think it varied. I mean, I think everybody felt it would be a good idea. Because I think there are some issues that are unique to collectives when you don't have a hierarchical structure. Because you have to trust the group to be that structure. I myself have had some experience in collective management of individual events, but not a day-to-day workplace collective management. And Glenn had some experience in that as well. I don't know that a lot of the other staff members do, because it is somewhat unique. I personally will just say that I believe that there's great value in a collective management, especially of an organization of this size. Simply because when we come together to brainstorm and problem solve and look at issues, we come at it from a lot of different angles, and a lot of times the solutions that we've come up with as a group I have found to be much more sound and much more thoughtful than if they came from an individual. So I will throw that out there. I value the collective highly. I think we have made some progress, but I think we need to lay a framework for how we operate together in a way that instills trust among board members, in that we are being held accountable to each other. And I think that may free up the board. And this, I know, is felt by all the staff, is that it would free up the board to focus on the long range development issues of the station, the 5 year down the road, where are we going to be then? And some of that work, that it's hard for the staff to focus on that kind of work because we're focused on keeping the station going day to day, and it's a lot. So I think this is kind of the vision that we have of what comes out of these retreats, is that an increase in the level of trust among board and staff, and even among the staff itself. And also a way to raise issues without raising hackles, if that makes sense. So that we can have open lines of communication. And I think that's it. And I have to say personally that looking at Jeff's proposal overall, I think he does have the skills to provide that. But that's me personally. That's not me speaking for the staff.
I should have prefaced I should have said, first of all, that I appreciate the work that staff did in coming up with all those broken out topics, although one was kind of snarky. When will the board finally get around to doing its job?
I can't speak for my fellow collective members in that sense. I can only say that one was not written by me.
Yeah, but it was, but overall, it showed a lot of thought and a lot of, I mean, those are the questions we need to address. Yeah.
I have a proposal, and part of it is based on Doug. I agree. It's late in the game for the staff to try to shift gears. those of us who aren't new this year know that we've been trying to get a retreat going for well over a year. There was a big barrier last year because we never set a date. So without setting a date, we couldn't even get a consultant because they would say when. Now we have a date. We have, although we haven't finally approved it, it's up for today, a consultant. I propose that we approve the proposal that Jeff Burkhart gave us, and that if and when, and or when, the staff feels after going through that retreat that it needs another staff-only retreat with the facilitator, perhaps Jeff, perhaps someone else, that it tender a proposal to the board, because as I understand it, we have money in the budget for Jeff's proposal. We don't have money in the budget for another retreat. However, not saying if we're doing financially okay that I would oppose it. I agree with you, Doug, and the staff that I think the staff could use some internal work. Okay. But we don't really have a proposal. We don't know how much it would cost. We don't know how much time even the staff, when is the staff going to do this? I don't know. And I would like to know, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's before us. And I don't want it to derail dates we already have. A consultant who I think will be good, who's given us a good proposal. Yes, I wish it were a little less money, but we have it in the budget. So I'm not going to raise that as what is truly my only, personal objection.
Other comments, other thoughts on this?
I agree with everything Jeff just said. I think it's too late to, we're either going to have to move forward with what we are planning, or we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and agree that we're probably not going to have a board staff retreat until after there's another board election in June.
And remember, this does have an independent staff. I mean, there is going to be a staff only session. So,
right. And the staff, I'm hoping, will find it very useful. I am open to the possibility that after going through that, they may feel like, you know what, that was very interesting, but we need almost like a consultant, not even like a collective consultant specific to consultants to help us move beyond what we just figured out from Jeff.
Doug.
Yeah, Jeff, I think that is a completely reasonable proposal. If there's support from the board, that if the staff doesn't feel that we got an adequate framework from the work with Jeff, and that if we do seek out someone else going forward to do continual work, or even, maybe a couple, 3, meetings, not necessarily a big retreat type, we could devote staff meetings to that. I think that's a workable solution in my opinion. I mean, I hate to speak for staff if I haven't talked to them at a time, but I agree with the sentiment that we are at the quick, so like in order for Jeff to do his, entire process of getting out these anonymous questionnaires of both board and staff, I think we have to move.
Yep. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
I agree.
Okay, well, could we have a motion?
I move that we approve the proposal provided to us by Mission Forward.
Further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, this is a big step. We've been trying to get this far for over a year. So,
I
hopefully we're almost there.
For someone, I'm guessing it'll be
I will,
you.
I'll
or
contact,
them.
I'll send an email when I get home tonight.
Great, thanks.
Um,
And maybe I missed something you said, but I assume you purposely skipped down to the bottom of the agenda to get this piece done.
yeah, because I thought this was the second most important thing after the budget. I
Fine,
wanted,
not a
wanted to focus on, and then we can go back up and take,
Not a problem.
yeah, so even though we approved the agenda, I
Yep.
changed it in the middle of stream.
That's okay.
Okay, Laura, is there anything else? Then going back up, Laura, anything else under the treasurer's report you want to call to our attention?
We wanted to approve the amount of funds to
Oh,
that
yes, thank you,
that we move.
thank you.
So that's something we hope to get accomplished by our next board meeting.
Well, do we want, is there something we want to do tonight on that? Here, yes, approve the amount of funds, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find the amount of funds that we have. It's Doug or Dan, do you remember where those?
I was
Yeah.
there. Wasn't it 50,000 from the Heartland money market and 50,000 from the Summit money market, both going into the new betterment account.
Yeah, I mean, the only other option I think that we entertained was splitting those accounts in half. Like one had 100,000 and $110,000 in the account. Now you know why I don't do finances very much. Anyways, so splitting it would be 55, but let's just make it 50,000 from each.
All right, the
Just for
FCU.
simplicity's
board
sake.
Approval to transfer anything above 50,000 in either account when the super saver account is ultimately set up. Is that what we're dealing with?
That's what we're talking about. Can we move to approve that?
What I see is transferring all but $50,000 from each money market. We're not transferring 50. We're transferring 80 from Summit and 100 from Heartline.
That makes
That's the
sense.
proposal.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
that was right. Yeah, because the difference is like we're making like I don't know, like 1% interest now, and the averages for the betterment account has been around 3.5 to 4%. So
Yeah,
it would be
no, of course we want to do
basically
it.
Yeah, and-
quadrupling our interest income.
And we can sort of kill two birds with one stone. Otherwise, we're going to have to keep voting on this. Let's just say any funds over $50,000
Understood.
moving forward.
Okay. My only logistical question in there is I'm guessing if I'm going to be silly for a moment, if it's 50,001, you don't want to just keep throwing $1, $5, or $10. So I would at least recommend process wise, and this may just be a staff decision that, you know, you do it in increments of 5 or whatever. So you're not wasting a lot of time doing little transfers.
I think this might be something that we can consult with Mary Joy on because, you know, maybe she'll do this on a quarterly basis or something
Yeah,
like that,
Or
whatever.
a monthly basis.
or a monthly basis,
Or a
right?
monthly base, but again, or over a certain amount.
Right.
You know, which I would recommend be 5 or 10 grand or something like that over the 50. But if you
Well-
have our authority to move it, then it's
Right.
administrative as to how you move it.
Yeah.
And we don't need to meddle with that.
I think,
Sure, I will say, let me interrupt here if I can. If we reduce those accounts to $50,000 at only 1% interest, they're only going to make $500 in interest over the course of a year.
Right.
So that could be done on an annual basis, because the money markets will be, or the high interest savings account will be making much more than that. The reason that we don't want to drop below $50,000 in each account is because when you drop below 50,000, you're at a lower tier and get an even lower percentage rate.
Sure. But it doesn't have to wait a year. If for whatever reason the
Right.
account gets up to 70 or 100, move it.
well, it's not going to, but it's not.
But it's not going to because it only has a 1% return. It's
Oh,
just
Oh, there's
the
no
money
money.
market.
No, there's
We
There's
don't
no
deposit
variable.
any money in those.
No,
I see. I see,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no variable.
There's
So,
no income into
so
that.
what that means is that Laura and I need to get her to actually create the account, right?
Yeah, the account needs to be created. I was hoping that Stu would be the signer on the account. I yeah, rather than myself.
Okay. You think it's a signal? Oh, yeah. So yeah, we'll take care of that and then yeah. Okay, I think we got it. Everybody understand?
Yeah,
There,
we need to vote on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, let's vote on that.
It's the committee recommendation, so it doesn't need a motion. Any further discussion or questions of anybody? The motion is to approve the transfer of anything above 50,000 either account to the Super Saver account when it is set up, and we understand that it will be done on a reasonably efficient basis and probably at year's end when it's at least got 2 zeros on it.
Right.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you, Finance Committee.
And wait a minute.
Yeah.
There is something I think we need to discuss pretty quickly since we're talking about signers and such. We're in the process of getting Dean and Dave Devereaux Weber off of the accounts.
Right.
It's detailed in the report, but I think people should pay careful attention to that. And if you have any comments about that or want to make any changes to what we've devised there, please let the Finance Committee know.
And I told Dave about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's really,
No,
if anything, I don't understand what's taking so long. But
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make sure this gets moved or,
Yeah.
that we get this done.
I don't think that needs a board vote.
No, it does not. I just wanted people to
Right.
pay attention to what we're doing.
Right.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Thank Laura.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you for that and the Finance Committee. Then moving back, let's find an agenda. One of these documents I'm sure is an agenda. There we go. Okay, are there any, okay. Well, while we've got Doug, anything you want to say about your report?
No, but I did oh wait, I have a couple things. I
Okay.
just sent the email that has the final tweaked version of the budget PDFs. So those are now all available in your email. So, feel free to look them over after the meeting and let me know any questions you have about it. You will notice it also does include the list of capital improvements at the end. I got a date for Chiliocracy in February. Pam at Harmony Bar has given us the first, which is a Saturday. So I expect a huge crowd and an increased income because I'm asking for 3 gallons of chili so that we can have 150 people in there.
Oh,
So
Nice.
it's a sellout event. So that one's really exciting. And then it's renewal time for Wine and Hop Shop and Willie Street Co-op, as well as Dane Arts and Art and Lit Lab. So I'm in the process of bugging lots of people for their renewals.
cool. Okay. Anybody want to raise anything else on any of the other staff reports? Stuff all looks generally good. Anybody have anything that they want to highlight or ask or comment on?
I have just a question, Doug, and it feels new and different to me the last couple meetings where you are the only staff person on. And I know you're the only one who's required to be on. And I'm not saying that needs to change, but at least historically, for as long as I've been on the board, most, if not all of the full-time staff were on at our meetings. Is this just coincidental? Is it a decision staff made to no longer come to board meetings? Is it because they're all just working so damn hard? I can totally understand. Enough is enough.
And getting married.
They're all good.
Right.
Now, I have to tell you, that there was at least one board member who found it suspicious and even a bit alarming how many staff were coming to the board meetings, because this board member thought that was an indication that staff did not trust us. And was a little, and I think it's great to have staff at board meetings, but you could look at that
Sure.
from different
And
perspectives.
I'm only commenting on the change.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that having lots of staff at the board meeting makes our board meetings longer, and most of us would rather they be shorter. But I'm not going to say staff don't come because you make our meetings go longer. I'm just curious whether there's been a conscious decision or it's just coincidental, or is there something we should know, Doug? That and
No,
it,
yeah. Please let me respond. I'm sorry
Yeah.
if I laugh because I did.
oh, it's okay.
Because from my perspective, the number of staff members that were coming to board meetings made me feel like, what? Don't you trust me to represent
Mm.
staff?
Okay.
Because I was getting trust issues.
Right.
Because why do I bother wasting my Wednesday night? If you're all going to be here anyway. Granted, I'm a board member. So I mean, but you know what I mean. And no, there was no discussion about it. I do remember sharing that particular sentiment with one or two coworkers. It may have spread, but I don't think so. I think it's just more that people have been really busy. Because I know Tom and Adrian were both in my office and they're like, I don't need to be there tonight, do I? And I'm like, I don't think so. And they're like, good. Although Tom said if we do want to contact him later, we can if needed. And I'm not going to stunt on
Okay.
that. But
That's
yeah,
fine.
no, there's no conspiracy to ditch the board meetings or anything.
Again, it
that I
might have been
know
a
of.
positive too. You know, thank you. I appreciate it. And I brought it up now because in the past, we'd have staff people if they wanted to say something about their reports, and now they're, other than Doug, not here. So,
Well, there's
Yeah.
also been a lot of illness too. Like Aaron is out with COVID. Susan is sick right now. Sybil's getting over it. Adrian's getting over it. So, you know, I'm sure that comes into play as well,
yeah,
where they're probably just trying to get their rest.
got it. Okay.
Phil,
I can't speak for any of the staff. I will say, as a board member, I have been surprised at the tenor of some of board members' comments to staff during discussions. And I'm not trying to blame anyone. I'm not trying to say anything more than I am saying, which is that I have sometimes been disappointed in the tenor of conversations between board and staff. And I'll just leave it there.
you're probably talking about some of the times that I speak sharply to Susan.
I'm not singling you out at
Well,
all.
no,
Stu.
You'll
but
own it.
I'll own it. Yeah, I mean, but Susan and I have a relationship where I understand that it may have seemed a couple of times that I was brusque with her, and I acknowledge that, and yeah. There have been times when I have spoken sharply to Susan because I thought she was going on a little long for some of the board members' desires, and
I'm
so,
not perfect
yeah,
either.
I'll own that.
I am going to be the first to admit that I don't always control my emotions or tenor the way I would like to. So, like I said, I'm not trying to blame anyone. I'm just trying to say that it doesn't surprise me.
No, I appreciate that.
And maybe that's something we can talk about at the retreat
Yeah,
too. Making
um,
sure we're.
I think respect is always a good place to start from.
um, any other comments on any of the other staff reports?
The only question I had, and Charlie is not here to answer it, and I don't know if Doug knows. Charlie had mentioned something about a broadcasting clinic that some of the staff were planning to attend tomorrow on the 21st. And I don't know if that is in person or online, or if there is an online option. That's really the only question I had. And it may be best directed to her.
It's online as far as I know.
Okay. And do you know, is that something that requires a entrance fee or a registration of any sort?
You'd have to
I'm not sure 'cause
register.
I'm sorry.
Registration is necessary. I'm not sure if there is a fee associated with that. You need to at least put in your email.
Yeah, there was also one today about like the coming governmental changes that was offered by NPR, but so many people responded to it that they had to cut it off for NPR affiliates only. So
Sure.
Charlie got the boot and Tom got the boot, and they weren't allowed to attend that one today. But I believe that the materials from that one are going to be sent out in the coming day.
I'm
All right.
seeing a
If you could share any of that information, I at least would be interested in reading up on it.
Yeah, I could, unless you just want to email Charlie directly. She's pretty good.
Sure. I
I mean,
can
it's
also
not
do
too
that.
late. She'll probably still respond to an email.
No problem.
Because then she can probably just send you the info, because I'm sure she has it from an email.
there's a registration cost of $35.
If there are
Cool.
no,
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
if there are no other questions or comments about the staff reports, I think the most important work group report to talk about is the DEI committee. And
I just want to have a brief thing on the personnel committee,
okay,
which is that the personnel committee's main charge for the coming year is to conduct the evaluations next year. We're working on timing with staff. I did, after our meeting, send an email to Doug. Doug, do you have a sense of when I might hear back from that? I know you replied, but in terms of an actual proposed schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think the timeline sounds good. I mean, I can't speak for everybody.
Right, you were going to talk to staff.
We did touch on it in the meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
We did discuss it. Yeah, I mean,
If you want to get back to me after the meeting, that's fine, Doug. If you,
yeah,
I just didn't feel like we had closure on that.
yeah, we don't yet.
Okay.
We don't as the staff either, honestly. I think that's something we still need to take up on Tuesday.
All right, let me know. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Jeff.
okay, let's talk about the situation at DEI, which appears to be having some issues. Can someone from DEI?
So at the most recent meeting, I assumed the rotating chair position. It's basically like a game of duck, duck, go, or whatever the game is where everybody's trying to grab the seat or not grab it.
Musical chairs.
Musical chairs is the correct terminology. Thank you, Laura.
But I think it's much more organized than that.
Well,
People have been responsible and volunteering to do it. So,
Julia and I have been taking on this duty in rotation since Laura accepted the treasurer's position, given the incredible workload that involves. And unfortunately, the main issue, I think I covered the last meeting in some detail in our minutes on the report that you should all have available to you. So currently we lack both. We lack any staff representation. Doug stepped back given his schedule, and apparently so did Adrian. And Chally is open to attending, but as I think we all know, Chally's workload is heavy. And so the committee is faced with no volunteer representation and no staff representation and 3 white board members, to speak plainly. And I guess that's the situation.
Doug?
Yeah, I spoke to Shali about this at the staff meeting yesterday. And she was willing to join the committee because she felt it was very in line with a lot of the initiatives that are going on in the News and Talk department. And that the work of DEI was very in line with public affairs. And that she would be a good representation of staff on that committee. I basically, speaking for myself, I joined the committee because Susan left, and I really felt that there needed to be staff on it in addition to Adrian. But with the numbers that I'm putting forward, I really need to focus on fundraising. First and foremost, that is what I need to do. And my energies really need to go there to ensure that we have a healthy financial future. And Shali was actually like, she wasn't taking this on because no one else would. She took it on because she has a real interest in it, and feels that she could contribute to the committee.
Yeah, I'll point out, if there's time, that the language that she uses isn't "I could," "I would." It is "I will put my name forward," as if she, which I interpreted as a personal interest and a chance for DEI to expand its message through our programming.
I agree that Shali is a natural, but I'm disappointed that Adrian seemingly can't continue because, you know, the volunteer and outreach person is somebody who would be really appropriate for this. And in the winter, she doesn't have as many events as she's got in the spring and summer.
Do we know why she resigned?
Doug, do we know why Adrian left the committee? Or Phil, do we know why Adrian left the committee?
Well, I mean, her and I did speak about it. She's been on it for 4 years now. And I think part of it is burnout and the fact that she's on 2 or 3 other committees already, with CAB, policies and bylaws. And I think it was just, she felt it was overextending.
Okay, good. Laura?
yeah, I've talked with Shali about DEI issues, especially about her the group that she was hosting over the summer. We had wanted to, the DEI committee had wanted to talk to them, and so I was in contact with Shali about this. I think Shali has a really good sense of what the DEI committee had, you know, what our history's been. I don't think she's going into this blindly. I think she really does want to see the committee successful, and So I'm heartened by her volunteering to join the committee. I really was seriously doubting that the committee could continue and was entertaining the notion that the committee should go on hiatus until we could recruit some more staff members. But if Shali remains on it, that gives me makes me optimistic that the possibly moving forward another staff member or two might join. I think one of the problems with the committee has been that we really lack a goal. We're kind of trying to latch on to certain things that usually involve other people. I think that we identify as, diversity at the station. Hopefully we can find some things that that we can do that, this is kind of tough to say, but I think that we are, it almost seems like we're stereotyping people, that we're, making people uncomfortable when we approach them. I think we need to gain more trust with others at the station, and that what we need to do more trust building. So hopefully we're not scaring people away, but that's the soul searching that I've been doing since our last meeting.
Good luck building trust with Arlene. Bill?
I will say that I did have a conversation with Charlie last week, and she did suggest facilitating a discussion with Jade, and I'm not sure if it was Diego or Carlos who she has been working with. And so it sounds like she was trying to arrange for their presence at the next DEI meeting in December. To be perfectly frank, Shally also mentioned the idea of simply contacting the hosts of some of the many programs that WRT operates and inviting them to talk about their experiences, whether they are a person of color or not. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that I think as WRT looks to this 50th anniversary, we should absolutely pat ourselves on the back and take a victory lap for having survived 50 years, for having absolutely made progressive ideals and keep WORT weird and all the positive things that WRT has done. Those are absolutely things that we should acknowledge and celebrate. At the same time, I think the fact that a longtime volunteer who has worked with the station for 40 years has unresolved issues with diversity. The fact that we had an archival broadcast from a host in the 80s who raised issues, and the fact that our volunteer survey had a comment that we admittedly may have spent a little too much time talking about, but given the fact that it was one of the only substantive comments. I don't think that I think that all those things in combination demonstrate that WORT is not perfect. And perfect is a really high bar for anybody to meet.
Yeah.
So I just think that this illustrates that there is work to do.
I don't think there's anybody denying that there's work to do. The question is the format and structure in which we're going to do it. Now, there's a comment in your minutes, Phil, about active members proposing folding DEI into the future of WORT task force. I don't think that would be a good idea.
Me neither. I think that's totally wrong.
Okay.
It'll get lost in there.
It'll get lost, and it'll also it would be an admission of defeat. It would be a sense of failure if we can't maintain it as a functioning, separate, standalone body, and I think it would send a bad signal. So,
Oh, I absolutely think it should be a standalone committee and a subject for the task force on the future. I don't think it's an either or. I think
Okay.
it's a both.
That's fine. The way I read this was proposing folding it into the task
Right.
force.
That's the way I read it too.
But
Initially, there, after our last meeting, I think there was some defeatism on the part of
Okay.
the DEI members.
we're gonna bust through that. Julia.
Yeah, so I think I would see folding the DEI efforts into the Future for WORT Task Force a step backwards. But if there isn't a means of us covering this and making sure that these folks are heard, if there isn't another way for us to keep this present in what we do, then that would be something to pursue. But if we do have, for example, Shaldi willing to participate as a consistent regular member of the DEI committee, then we should explore that, absolutely. But just looking into options for how to make this a priority and have people just get the support that we need, that we're just frankly not seeing in a lot of ways. So
What is, I used to know the English language. What is when you say you're not getting the support you need, not getting it from the board, are you not getting it from the staff? Are you not getting it from the volunteers? Where are you not, who is it that's not giving you the support that you need?
I think we need, I think we need to work together and identify that really. Laura, did you have your hand up? I think that, did I hear correctly that?
Unfortunately, I have a fire alarm going off in the building.
Oh.
So I had to turn my stuff off.
Please. There has been a fire.
I think it just stopped. Okay.
I hope you're safe, Laura.
I think I'm safe.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
there's
you
a
have to
long
check
story
and
about-
see that you're safe, Laura.
There's a long
Well,
story
they were all
about
out.
fire alarms in this afternoon. So
Okay.
I will not go into any of that. Please continue, Julie.
Okay, yeah, if you need to head out, please keep yourself safe. I don't know, I think it's something that, so what I was saying is, did I hear correctly earlier that this committee has been in existence for 4 years? Because that's actually something I did not know about. I thought this committee was just a year old.
Let me explain. The committee was preceded by a work group. The work group's only task was to come up with the survey, and it did, and we have the survey results, but about a year ago or so, a little over a year ago, I proposed the DEI committee, which is a standing committee now, and part of the, as opposed to a work group. Let's just leave it at that.
And the creation, the debate over work group versus committee was a protracted debate, and there was internal, and once it was created, there was some internal dissension among members as to various hot button items, and so it took a while to get going, even once it was theoretically created. It has not been an easy process at any point along the way.
Okay. Okay, so it took, yeah, the 4 years to get us to where we are now. And I think that we need to see more support, I'd say from the board. I'd say collectively from the board overall, in what we're trying to pursue. And that could be seen in ways such as, if you did read through the DEI minutes and Arlene's commentary regarding establishing benchmarks and metrics, and then weighing those against the efforts that we put forth to improve DEI efforts, if we could see support from the rest of the board on establishing those, maybe some actions towards that in some way, that I think would speak towards more higher level support.
So Julia, having been on the committee and having left it because I felt that this is before you were on the board, I was severely mistreated by a former board member who was on that committee, and I felt like it was just never dealt with by the committee, by the board, by the staff. I have absolutely no problem supporting establishing metrics, but I think the committee needs to come to the board to develop those metrics, just like the finance committee develops the budget. But yes, I think, you know, if whether it's about programming, whether it's about board membership, whether it's about staff composition, I mean, there's all kinds of metrics that we could consider. It needs obviously to be done in a thoughtful manner, and you certainly have my support on that.
Laura. You're muted.
Closed session.
No.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you're talking about metrics, you're almost always talking about the diversity component. The inclusion and the equity parts are much more, it's really hard to measure those. You know, when does somebody feel included? When does somebody feel they've been treated fairly? Much harder for us to deal with. We can just go through the programming schedule and come up with how are we doing diversity wise kind of thing, and it probably would look pretty good. But I think the issues that we're trying to get at on the DEI committee are much more subtle and harder to pick apart. That's why we need to have some trust. When we the few people that we've approached to try to involve in our to ask questions of, to try to get them to open up to us, have really been reluctant to do so. And so that's why I say building trust is a big issue right now. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do that, but those are the discussions I see in the future. That's it.
So where does this leave us? That we're going to see how Shali's inclusion on the committee revitalizes it, or what are we gonna do to make this happen?
I think that
We already have a meeting scheduled for December. So we are meeting on the first Monday of the month, and we will very likely meet. Maybe not on the first Monday. I haven't looked at the calendar for January, so I don't know where that falls in
Might be the
holiday.
second. Yeah.
It might wind up being the second Monday of the month for that month.
our meeting time, I mean, this happens every time there's like a first Monday, Labor Day, for example. We have to reschedule on a number of Mondays. So, yeah, but we're trying to keep to that first Monday of the month.
Doug,
Yeah, I hate to bring up such a specific thing in a board meeting, but not having been there, I want to know if the question about the volunteer newsletter poll about which do you feel is the most important, diversity, equity, or inclusion? I believe it was penned by Julia. Did the committee come to a decision on whether you want that included as a poll? Because tomorrow I can work with Adrian to make sure that's included if you want. And that's the reason I bring it up now.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yes, we,
that up. I'm sorry, Phil, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, yes, we absolutely do want it as a poll.
Yes,
And
and that we've not heard back, and I appreciate it, Doug, in pointing that out. And that would be an example of, yeah, a great thing for us to see to help move forward. So thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm happy to help ensure that that question gets in there because I remember seeing the email and I just wanted to bring it up quick while I had a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
and also I think it's necessary for me to formally appoint Shali to the committee. So I'll do that. So Shali is appointed to the committee.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
And Julian, Phil, anything that, I mean, I think, I know the board regards this as important. So let us know what we can do to help you.
Will do.
I've talked about leaving the board at the end of my term. This is a committee that I think I probably will continue to participate in even after I leave the board. So
Thank you.
I would say, and ask I would have is if the board has any ideas for volunteer recruitment at all, please do bring that to this space or send it to our email. Let us know if we can actively, continually think about that as well. We need more membership. And so if we can all, yeah, just keep an open mind to that as well, that would be great.
the only it's the only time we've asked the volunteer body to join are the two postings, the two questions that we've had in the volunteer newsletters. So we haven't done much recruitment in that regard. We need to do more.
So can we just have every issue of the volunteer newsletter have something on this?
I don't think that's sufficient. I think
Well,
direct, first of all, we know from Susan, it was a disappointing surprise to me. I think with either Susan or Adrian, how it has a fairly low open rate.
yeah.
Like you know, email's just not a thing for many people anymore, particularly if it's a general email. I think direct recruitment works best, a phone
Okay.
call, an email, a text. I can think of, you know, people like Ali Muldrow, Jan Miyazaki, who would be fantastic volunteers on this committee, just off the top of my head,
Okay.
in terms of longtime WRT volunteers dedicated to civil rights and
Yeah.
So should we, if we have ideas, should we funnel them to Phil and Julia and have the
yes,
out-
please.
come from
Yeah.
you two? Oh,
You
Okay.
can funnel them to me also.
okay.
The DEIC at WRT email will get to all of us.
Okay, so if anybody has ideas on good volunteer members, DEIC at WORT-FM.org.
Mhm.
Believe that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yet just the thought, you know, Shali's suggestion of interviewing different programmers, that's a way of outreach. Possibly we might recruit a couple of new members that way. So, yeah.
She sure will. And in fact, something, what the DEI committee can do to foster and create DEI centered content that we can air on the radio station on Sunday nights when Shalley's saying that she wants to switch to culturally themed programming would be like a very direct way to look at this. Like, how many hours of content can this committee produce? And what events can we do where we get people together? But the way that we talk to our audience is over the airwaves. We are excellent at making content. We have some of the best producers for this that are around. And so the question is, how can we take the skill set that we've all got and start turning it into programming that we can look back and point to the Spinatron and say, you had this many listeners over the course of the year. We did this many shows. This is the response that we've got. But Shalley isn't just, she's not keeping it a secret the way she's posturing. You've got to be looking at the programming committee notes and the DEI committee notes. But I think, she's been really clear about what her intention is. I think our responsibility has changed since the 5th, and that we got to come out swinging on this and hard and consistently for the next 4 years at least, probably longer than that.
Okay. Anybody have anything else on this? I thought this was a good discussion. I think this is important. I think we may have a plan. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Phil and Julia and Laura, and onward. Are there any of the other? There's this matter that I don't think we need to go into closed session, and Doug can participate because it's not a personnel matter.
Okay.
Is there anything on any of the other staff, any reports that people want to bring up and address at this time?
Really quick from
Yeah.
CAB. There's a button on the WORT website that says sign up for CAB, and they would like that spelled out because no one knows what CAB is when you're just on the website.
Yeah.
So that was the suggestion, like one of the suggestions they had was that sign up for CAB because it is a small but
Yeah.
lovely little group. But on the website, I don't know who does that.
Doug, is that a Tom issue?
No, I believe I could probably fix that.
Okay.
If not, I'll ask Tom to do it in the morning when he comes in at 9. But I'm there at 8, so I
Right.
can go in and monkey with it.
Thank you.
You're
That's
rich. Doug's command.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it wait the extra hour, but if whoever can take care of it, thank you. If there's nothing.
I have something.
Yeah.
The future of WORT.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, I have spoken to several staff members about the future of WORT. Adrian mentioned that she's hired a social media person, which I believe falls into that, the category of future of WORT. We have never had a meeting. We are not formally any kind of a committee or work group yet. I think one of the things we're waiting for is when Stu, when you can participate. I think people, I think they don't exactly know, because it is kind of a nebulous idea about what the future of WORT is. I think we need to come up with some sort of a charter or, some sort of a mission so that people understand what it is we're driving at. And Stu, when do you think you'll be free to head the committee or work group or whatever?
The deadline got pushed back a little, but it should be within a couple of weeks. I should be done
With your book.
with the book. So, I will bring something to the December board meeting to try and come up with a chart. I mean, there's effectively a charter because there's language in the motion that we approved creating it that defines what it's supposed to do. But yeah, we need to operationalize it. I mean, right now it exists only conceptually. You're right. Yeah. And that would be a good thing to get moving by the end of this year. And yeah.
Okay, That's all. I'd be glad to tell you what about my conversations with staff members. I'd be glad to work with you on that if you care to.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, with that, I want to, the item that says motion to go into closed session to discuss possible litigation. We don't need to go into closed session, as I say, because Doug can participate because it's not a personnel matter.
Should we stop recording?
No, because it,
We don't have to be,
No.
we don't have to be recording. We can
No,
turn it off
it's,
when we want.
I don't think so, because I'll speak obliquely enough. You will recall the issue of the volunteer who was alleging that there was heinous activity by two
Right.
staff members against another staff member. Well, the person has continued to make public posts about
Right.
just heinous activity. And I think it's at the point of swearing out a complaint for criminal defamation.
Before a restraining order or a.
I don't know what the restraining order, I don't know. Is this something we can get,
I would have thought I would get a restraining order first.
you think? Okay,
Then if he violates the restraining order, but that is a crime.
well, he is committing the misdemeanor of criminal
I
defamation.
understand, but you have to convince the DA to prosecute it. You can walk in, any of us on behalf of WRT
And
who have
swear out a
authority
complaint.
can walk in
Yeah.
and get likely a preliminary injunction on a harassment injunction that likely will be granted. It can have distance restrictions, it can have everything
media.
he's doing that shouldn't be done,
Okay,
that isn't protected by the First Amendment, of
Okay.
course, can be restricted. It can be done without an attorney. Never hurts to have an attorney, of course, but it's the same process you would go through. It's the same law, in fact, for a domestic violence harassment injunction,
okay,
which people do all the time without attorneys. So that would be the way I would, and then if that's violated, that is a criminal violation.
Okay.
It's contempt and subject to enforcement by the sheriff.
okay.
And it's
Okay.
free.
I'm not sure if it's completely free. There's probably a filing fee.
Yeah.
But it's not real
Yeah.
big.
Doug?
Yeah, I think there was some question about the ability to actually get a restraining order because no threats have actually been made. Allegations have been made. And words against the station were that, the station is an awful place for firing me for telling the truth. But no actions have been threatened against the station. But the defamation is there. So maybe it would be better to get an actual opinion from either a police officer or legal counsel to find out the best course of action before we just speculate.
So in the definition of harassment, and I am looking at the statute, and you are talking to an attorney who is not currently representing WRT, because that would be a conflict of interest since I'm on the board.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you.
And give you legal information. And it says the definition of harassment, yes, includes things that are physical, but B is engaging in a course of conduct or repeatedly committing acts which harass or intimidate another person and which serve no legitimate purpose. I don't know all the details, but from what you have stated, that I understand, it fits that definition.
His public postings
does.
are not naming the individuals whom he is alleging. Is that a problem?
Maybe it depends on, how is it, you can name and you can give so many details that it's obvious who it is. So
But that's defamation. Doesn't
that may be a defamation problem as
the
well.
behavior he's already engaged in constitute harassment of multiple members of staff here?
Well, and now in some recent posts, harassment of the station in general.
Yeah,
Yeah, what I don't know honestly is whether the station can get a harassment injunction against itself. That I've never, or to protect
we don't know if
itself.
WORT is
That's
person.
different than, um, the individuals who are being harassed, the staff members.
Right.
Obviously, in this case, I would certainly support the station supporting those staff members in doing so. If you're looking for the statute.
I've got defamation. And again, I mean, whoever with intent to defame communicates any defamatory matter without the consent of the person defamed is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. Anything which exposes the other to hatred, contempt, ridicule, degradation, or disgrace in society or injury in the other's business or occupation. Accusing people of,
Doing real bad stuff.
doing this bad stuff certainly meets this definition.
I have no
Yeah.
problem with that.
Yeah.
I wonder,
Yeah.
with all the things on first the police and then the DA's docket, whether, and the DA, as you may know, I know you keep up on local news, has been highly criticized for not keeping up with this docket, whether it's going to rise to the level of importance that it will actually turn into an actual prosecution. I share your goal. We have the same
Yeah.
goal.
Turning into an actual prosecution and merely swearing out the complaint. I mean, swearing out the complaint may be enough to.
If you think swearing out a complaint will deter this person from doing what he's doing, you have my total blessing. It just, if you thought because I always go to the end of a legal process when I start it, but that's me, I'm a lawyer. I think that it is unlikely to end up in an actual prosecution, let alone a conviction. But I'm not worried about the conviction part. I just don't think they'll prioritize it to actually do anything. And I don't know the person. I have no idea. Will it, for example, piss them off to actually raise the ante? I don't know.
Where we're at now is that Sybil is going to have a talk with his mother, who is his named in case of
Emergency.
contact, and see if she can get mom to talk some sense into him. I mean, he clearly has some mental health issues.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, he believes that he's been working closely with Steven Spielberg, and he believes he's a movie star, and he believes all sorts of stuff. And he believes many things which are not true. And unfortunately, he's broadcasting these heinous allegations, which we have to stop.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, is the only question I would have is whether it'll work. And as long as it won't make it worse, which may be part of the conversation between Sybil and this guy's mom, what do you think would help?
Doug, where's staff at on this?
They support going forward with any sort of legal action that the board deems necessary to make it stop.
I'm also glad, I'll just say this, like, not in a representational capacity, because I don't believe as a board member I can represent WRT. But if staff and/or you, Stu, want to consult with me more, believe me, I've dealt with these harassment injunctions, including on the receiving end when schools have sometimes gone after kids in an extra legal process. They're not expelling them, but, let's get a harassment injunction against the kid. And so we don't have to go through an expulsion process. So I've represented kids on that end. So I have some, I don't want to say I do these every day, but I have some level of expertise. It's not clear to me, and I am looking at the statute to see whether or not this station would be considered a person. I know.
Well, he at one point he referred to big management guys. I mean, unnamed management guys I'm a manager, I'm the biggest, I'm the
Right.
management guy.
Right.
Exactly. And some of the language that was used here, I think the clearest thing that we have, and I mean, there's some Facebook style talking that he's doing
Yeah.
now, but I mean, we've got him in that letter from the first, and the language that he uses is, it's not unusual for guys to become ultra violent in this situation. As if
He's
Is he
escalating.
referring to
He's-
himself?
he's referring to how he's going to behave towards us.
Well,
Like, I'm right about to become ultra violent
Well-
if you don't fire these guys.
yeah, I mean,
And-
he's talked about having a baseball bat and a knife in case we come after him and his mother. I mean, you know, there's borderline physical threat. I mean, it's borderline physical threat, but it's borderline.
I think a reasonable person, I think a reasonable board would listen to that and feel threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, and just the way that just the way he capitalizes things in the
So,
letter. I mean,
Can you?
For myself, it says, wow, I'm so glad I never joined social media. For myself, in favor of board of directors supporting staff call for pursuing criminal charges.
Okay.
We should do that.
Yeah.
At least the
Super skeeved out. This is
harassment.
not okay.
Again?
Super skeeved out. This is not okay.
Yeah, no, it's,
You know, our rooms are public.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so we're talking an injunction first.
I mean, it sounded to me, I mean, if we're doing this one step at a time, that the next step, which is, I think, appropriate, was Sybil was gonna talk to this guy's mother.
yes,
I think Sybil should know before she has that conversation that the board is willing to take, you know,
okay,
legal
Okay.
steps and like, again, we don't want to make it worse,
Right.
right? And have her talk to his mom about, would a threat of criminal prosecution or a threat of a civil harassment injunction, do you think that would be helpful, or will that be pouring kerosene on the fire?
Laura,
I'm just wondering, have materials been handed out to the board about the contents of these communications? Because people seem to have more knowledge than I do about this, and it's difficult for me to make decisions based upon the little that I know of it.
okay,
There was very little
Executive
shared.
committee knows, right?
The executive committee is the only group of people who have
But Laura's. on
some of the
it.
content shared from Stu.
He had a lot of stuff, so it's not like there's just a couple.
yeah.
There's a lot of information to go through.
Yeah, I don't recall though, like documentation about this stuff. I don't even recall that the actual source, like where this stuff is getting posted, that
Right now,
that
he's
was
posting on
discussed.
Facebook. Right now, he's posting on Facebook.
Okay.
And what he's saying that he was fired from his job at Ward, because he spilled the beans on these big management guys raping the poor girl in her basement office.
Okay. Have we, I mean, if we're talking about court and all of these things, have we been documenting this stuff? Have we been keeping records?
We have screenshots of his postings, yeah. And we have his, yeah, we have his,
Content.
we have the content, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that stuff if you do have copies of it.
Okay, yeah, what do people want to know? I mean, I'm not going to tell you who the purported victim is.
No. And keep in mind, this is still being
Recorded
so-
and we're in open session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not asking you. Yeah, I'm asking this. I mean, I understand we're in open session. I'm not asking you to divulge right now.
but I mean, people,
Maybe general timeline and number of incidents that are noted.
What are you asking from us today? Are you asking us to approve taking this in a certain direction?
yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I mean, this is a big step, and I wanted staff buy-in and I wanted board buy-in before I do anything official. You know, Sybil and I have decided that, you know, the first step is for her to talk to his mom and see if she can talk some sense into him or give Sybil some guidance on anything. But this has to stop. And so far, my sternly worded emails have not been effective. I can write a pretty sternly worded email and it's not worked. So, you know, need to elevate it to the next level. Bill.
So I guess I just want to start by saying I absolutely agree with Laura's suggestion that it's difficult to make an informed decision without documentation. At the same time, I understand that there are personally protected information that the WORT may not want to share, but I think generally having a timeline and an anonymized summary or direct quotations of the troubling dialogue, it would be sufficient to satisfy the documentation in cases like this going forward. That said, I've heard enough for me personally, just hearing that the fact that staff have concerns that they want the board to take seriously, I'm absolutely in favor of the board approving that you take the next step, whether that's a criminal complaint, a preliminary injunction, restraining order. I am not a lawyer. I leave that up to lawyers, but
Would you
support it.
entertain a motion to seek an injunction for 4 years against?
Let me just first, the most recent thing. Okay, so I got an email from Sybil yesterday about something he either posted that day or the day before. I'm not sure on what. This is in some, anyway, he had stated on Facebook that he was fired from the stations, and somebody says, what was the reason for your being let go? And he writes back, Larry, I was fired due to exposing big management guys raping and sexually abusing a small girl in her basement office. When I stood up for her and kindly asked them to stop and leave her alone, I was quickly fired and charged with defamation. That's his most recent public posting. And then there's another posting where he unfriended someone because he was involved with the station. He said, I'm not going to have anything to do with anybody who works at that horrible station where they rape people.
I mean, those all, it sounds very clear that he's referring to WRT and that these are defamatory statements.
About that.
And so, yeah, I think taking legal steps to prevent his communicating in a way that is not protected by the First Amendment is, I think that's a slam dunk.
Doug?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the profile that he posted that comment on is a public profile, not a private one that is only seen by friends. So yesterday in the staff meeting, several of us went in and reported the comment as harassment, and it was quickly taken down by Facebook.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yay, Zuck.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's the kind of, that's effective. That got, it was immediate and effective. I wonder, for example, if we file for defamation, that might have just fed into this argument because he's already accused us of defaming him. Yeah, I think we need to be cautious about the way we proceed, and that's why I needed more information about some of this stuff. Maybe, yeah, I don't know exactly what I need, but I also don't know exactly what we're being asked to approve or vote on or whatever.
Well, Dan and then Jeff.
I think, first off, I don't think we should be sending Sybil back in to talk to his
Well,
mom,
she volunteered. She said she's got a contact. I mean, she
even if that's, like her idea and stuff. Like, we've got a responsibility specifically to protect Sybil from ideas like that. As helpful as she wants to be, and maybe she could make some sway with it. But like, my thought on this is that we should start small and work our way up by seeking a temporary injunction, asking for a real injunction, and then moving it up from there. So I bet you they'd give us a temporary one, and then 14 days later they'd have to hold a hearing with a judge to grant it for real. And if he does something after that, we could continue to
I'm just going to use a real life personal example
Mm.
of what sounds very similar to this. I have a first cousin who severely mentally ill. He's done one good thing in his life, which is to put together a family website. One day, my son, when he was 10, was surfing the net and said, "Dad, why does it say on the internet that you're a murderer?" He had put this on the family tree. I went to his sister and his mother, asked if he'd been off his meds, etc. I said, "This is, you can't cross that. You can't cross that line. Put that out in public." Anyway, we got it taken down periodic with family support. This is my emphasis right now. Periodically, he does this to me, he does this to my brother. He'll put out there that we're stalkers, other really bad stuff. I mean, really bad stuff. Point being that if the theory is right, that this is being caused by mental illness, that our system of justice may not be what solves the problem. And so I really do support this first step of going to his mother, who hopefully isn't as crazy as he is. We don't know. But if she's not, she's probably well aware of this and may, emphasize may, have some ways of getting him to stop. So I don't have a problem that if this continues, we find ways, potentially legally, to get him to stop. But I do have concern that it could fan the flames worse before it gets better. And certainly, absolutely, find a Facebook post, report it as harassment. If we can get rid of it that way, fantastic. But I think we need to try the family end first. And this, by the way, is not out of sympathy to him. It is out of trying to solve the problem. And it may be, in the end of the day, the best way to get it to stop.
Yeah, the justice system doesn't work real well with mental health concerns.
No.
I totally agree with you, Jeff.
Yeah. I think, Dan, that Sybil volunteered. Sybil has, she thinks that that's most of the exchange, most of these steps along the way, Sybil has said, "Look, will you please deal with this? Will you please deal with this?" And so I've been dealing with him. If Sybil is comfortable volunteering to be the one to talk to Mom, I want to let her do it. Because if she thinks that, if she's comfortable doing it and volunteering to do it, I want to let her try. And I think that's the smallest step to start on. I mean, that's the least confrontational, that's I'm comfortable to having a start there, and I think she's better to have that conversation with mom than I am.
Mom doesn't live with Les.
No, they do.
What if she becomes hurt or injured in the process of trying to do this?
Who, mom?
Sybil.
You just talk to her on the phone.
No,
She's not gonna,
Oh,
she's
okay.
not gonna drive down. I mean, the guy lives down,
Yeah.
he doesn't even live in
I assumed
Madison.
this was by phone. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I would not go do a face to face.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I feel better about that.
No, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear about that. No, she's not gonna go knock on mom's door. I don't believe she's gonna,
I hope.
no.
And I mean, what would that say to you know?
No, I no, that's, I don't
The
think.
job
she's
to
on-
protect Sybil, not Les.
No,
or
no,
his
she's,
mom.
no, I don't think he wasn't gonna go down to, I mean, he lives like right on the borderline of Rock County. I mean, it's,
Yeah. Well, he's in that.
Open meeting.
yeah.
Well,
I-
I'm an HR person, done it
Yeah,
for
thanks
over
for
a
that.
decade. If Sybil wants another set of ears on the line, like I can be muted, and I absolutely volunteer.
Okay,
to
I'll let
be
her know
part of
that. Yeah.
Just sometimes it's better to have a third person
Yep.
in the virtual
Sure,
room.
sure.
And maybe a recording of
Yeah.
what gets said.
Yeah.
I'd also like to recommend that we continue with the takedowns and pursuing those where we can, because I think that that's an immediate response, that might show this person that, accusations like this aren't going to fly in polite society.
Yeah. Okay, the one thing is, on second thought, we probably should turn the recording off. Is there a way to excise it? I mean,
Edit.
You,
I can make it all go away right now. Like
That would be
real,
the entire meeting, right?
do we need the rest of the meeting more than we need to not have this?
I think we have determined. Wait, are we still recording?
Yes.
We are.
Recording
Okay.
during this discussion
yeah, that
about
should,
whether to keep the recording.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
this is like a
Oh, yeah,
taking notes
no.
on a criminal conspiracy.
Well, it's not. It's not.